I'd like to talk with you about the search for the right formula for teaching college writing. I think college writing instructors have been searching and experimenting for quite some time to try to develop that right formula. I'd like to add to that conversation a little bit by suggesting that what we've done in the past has been helpful, but it's also missing a key ingredient. I think past approaches emphasize both the product, what we produce, often called genres, and the process by which we produce them. So let me talk with you a little bit about each of those and my thoughts, and then what the missing ingredient is that we could add to it, an approach that I call a generative approach. So first of all, what do we do as writing teachers at the college level? Or maybe even going down into the high school level, right? We talk about how to create a product, and so we define that product for our students. If it's descriptive writing, then we give them a rubric. We give our students a rubric for what descriptive writing is. If it's argumentative writing, then we use something like Toolman, and we talk about how to make an argument. More in middle school, we talk about the 5-paragraph essay, or upper elementary, maybe. Maybe we're talking about how to do narrative writing, and so we explain to students what's the necessary ingredients in a narrative, and students practice creating that, and they work hard at trying to meet the idea that we as writing teachers have in our own mind for what is a good representation of that genre. What that I think is missing from that approach is a help for how to help students to actually generate sentences. But if we don't do a product approach, right? If we don't help students with writing in specific genres, then we think that we can help them by engaging them in the process of writing, right? And walking them through and giving them experience with process writing. And so we give them experiences with setting goals and doing multiple drafts, sharing their writing with each other, doing revision planning, and then more drafting, and then perhaps on publishing. And we hope that students see the benefits of setting goals and revising. And most important, perhaps, is this two-way street of sharing your writing with each other, because it helps you as the writer and you as the reader. And so there's a dual benefit there that we want students to become familiar with as they share their writing, do peer reviews with each other. So that, again, is an often used approach, and or both of those together. The missing ingredient there is what I would say is helping the students actually generate sentences. So let me say just a little bit here. I think it might be a truism to say the written language has the capability, the potential for communicating complex ideas not found in other forms of language. And I think it may be equally a truism to say that we want our students to be able to communicate complex ideas. And so we've got to give them some tools to do that. And I think that a generative approach is the right approach. And I think that this approach could be described by two principles. The principle of addition and the principle of generality. So what does a generative approach do? It answers the question, how can we help students generate more clarity and more complexity in their writing? How can we help them bring out the complexity of the ideas in their own mind and help them to use writing as a tool of thinking and discovery, something often not talked about in writing classes. I think that a generative approach helps students with giving them a tool bag, a repertoire of of things that they can do to add complexity. Giving them more practice in creating a genre or in the process of writing are both helpful, but they do not give students the actual resources to build on, to scaffold their ideas on, or to use writing as a thinking and discovery process. So let's talk in turn about these ideas of addition. And generality, these two principles on which I'm building my model of what rhetorical generative writing is. The principal addition is built upon this idea that we don't build sentences by what we take away. We build by what we add. So you begin with a very basic sentence, and you add to it as the complexity builds. And I think there are probably 10 types of word structures, sentences, clauses, whatever you want to call them, that you could help students understand. Now, let me say a few things here at this point about grammar. The generative approach is not a grammatical approach. It's not about telling our students where to put the sentence, the period or the comma, or what a noun clause is. The problem with that, it's all very prescriptive. First of all, there's only one right way to do it, and students struggle with mastering that one right way. It's also, there's not a lot of individual creativity there, and all of us as writing teachers know how much creativity there can be in writing. I think that when we limit students by prescribing ways to write, it doesn't help them. It's also one size fits all, isn't it? There's only one right way to do it, and unless you do it my way, you're not a good writer, which is why many writers have very bad ideas about themselves as writers, right? Their writing self-esteem is incredibly low. And so we need another approach which sets them free and gives them tools that they can then apply to whatever stage of the writing process they're in. The second principle is this idea of generality. In writing, good writing, clear writing, concise writing has an ebb and a flow to it, which means we move from the general to the specific, from the specific to the general. And this works at both the sentence and the paragraph level. So what we want to do is to help our students, give them tools, give them practice, give them an experience with moving in sentences and paragraphs back and forth between general ideas, large ideas, and then fleshing out, describing with detail what the specifics are, and writing this complex and sophisticated moves back and forth between the general and the specific. This idea that I have, I think can be integrated into an existing writing curriculum, or it can be taught on its own across a 3-week, 30-hour kind of approach. But I think it answers that question that certainly has been in my mind. How do I actually help students? How do I give them something that will help them develop their writing, not just time to write and say, go ahead and write, and here's the process, but no tool for generating actual sentences.